Good morning. I have Halston Valencia, who is a Bitcoin educator, marketing director, and entrepreneur with a strong and growing following. After her getting her master's degree in digital media and marketing from the University of Southern California, she is marketing director at Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is one of the good old time, original, long time, non custodial Bitcoin platforms, a company I think operates with good integrity and quality based values, aiming to grow into being the biggest potentially Bitcoin treasury in Canada. Now, that's just a day job. Halston is also building Bolt, which shares tools, dashboards, tracks the economic storm, produces a weekly Bolt newsletter. Not only that, she's got a growing space on a community space on X uh, called Chapter 21, a book club. You can join that, motivate your own reading. I love to read, but I sometimes it helps to have a group you participate with to keep you on the ball and share your own love of quality Bitcoin books. So, when does she sleep? I guess maybe we'll find out. Halston, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's good. I got up kind of extra early because I have a young daughter. She's 4, and she's a good sleeper. But for me, it was like 6:15 in the morning, and usually I have that window in the morning where I can kind of work and prep and do stuff. And she's going to sleep before we got to go to daycare. And for me, she was up a little early and in one of those excited moods that she wants to get the animals out and play zoo time. So I had some morning playtime with my daughter before she headed off to school.
Love
But
it.
it even when you're someday a parent, parents can relate, but you can be very tired, and yet you have this energy of the love, what you're doing, that connection. Uh, Hard to describe the reward you get out of that. So anyway, I'm perpetually tired, as you are. Your focus being a lot of career and Bitcoin stuff, and mine is like a balance of family stuff. So anyway, but it's fun.
Love it. Parenthood is something that definitely excites me. So love to hear those stories.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it's important to someday do. I also say it's something to prepare for and be ready. Um, So you've been on quite a prolific tour of sorts, traveling, various podcasts. Having graduated just last year, right? I mean, it's been quite a wild ride. I imagine, like a change, transition, all the things. Kind of coming from marketing and work in a bit of a fiat world. I'll just put a label on it, which you experienced, and then a
hmm
shift into more core Bitcoin stuff. So how has all the changes been going?
Yeah, I mean it's been quite the shift. Like you said, it's quite drastic going from fiat, more corporate-ish world to Bitcoin and freedom and sovereignty. But it's been such a wild ride and such a blessing, and I couldn't be more grateful to be on this ride. I think people always ask like, why did you leave like a somewhat lucrative career in LA in marketing for a job in the Bitcoin space? And I always say like, this is something that I'm genuinely passionate about and something I really want to help amplify and move forward. And so for me, even if that meant like a slight pay cut or maybe not as lucrative a career, that's totally worth it because this is something that's really fulfilling for me.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's been quite the journey, lots of traveling, but I have been so enjoying it.
You've been energized, and you have energy, that's for sure. Sometimes, and we'll talk for sure about Gen Z, differences between generations. There's easy things you can kind of put labels on things, and there's differences. Sometimes I work with a variety of ages, and like I'll find that older generation folks, they're like grown up kids in a lot of ways. It's just that they're maybe a little less mentally flexible, or the
Sure.
energy without some good fitness and health. Like as I get older, I have to be more keen on diet and fitness and sleep, and some of those things I can't just take for granted. I've got to like stay young. So and you live that yourself. Clean food,
Yes.
fitness and health. Now sleep, I don't know about, but how is your sleep?
Sleep is, we're working on it. But I am very much into holistic health. I do eat very clean, I would say for the most part. 90% of my meals are cooked at home, except for when I'm traveling. But yeah, sleep, I probably average 6 hours of sleep, I would say.
And some people don't need the same amount. I can get away with less for periods of time, but then I'll hit something where it's like catch up time, and
Okay.
I'll take part of a day to sleep in and kind of
Yeah.
rebase myself. So
Reset.
okay, so
That's
with
good.
your background in digital media and marketing, and having worked in different feet in different locations, I'm going to let's say we're going to try to orange pill people. And now I've thought about this a little bit. I have some ideas on how we can orange pill people. And so let's with your education, tell me if you think these might work.
Okay.
Uh, for all ages, but let's say particularly younger people. Let's see someone young is entering Bitcoin and I'm gonna orange pill them here. Okay, so here I go.
Okay.
Oh, you bought the ETF. Yeah, you're not doing it right. Oh, you still have it on exchange. You're not doing it right. Do you even run a node? Okay, yeah, but what node? Oh, that node. Um, well, but what about a hardware wallet? Now, did you use proper entropy to generate a wallet address, or did they just generate it for you? Did you stamp it on steel? Have you memorized it? Um, okay, well, if you don't understand it, I don't really have time to explain it to you. Have fun staying poor. You're going to get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. How's that?
It's tough.
Now I'm joking.
Yeah.
You know the marketing, but it's also a lot, even more so of education. And
Yes.
so when it comes to education, you've got to like meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And so I will get people that might be kind of opinionated, but they're coming at it kind of maybe where I was years ago. And I have to like swallow my ego or be like, oh, no, 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 you got to do it this way. I've got to kind of meet them where they're at
Yeah.
and let them take the next step, because you can just overwhelm people or be so toxic maxi. They're like, oh, well, I guess I don't get it. You probably have to
Exactly.
work with that a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I would say a majority of Bitcoin maxis just want them to do it right the first time. And so we overload new Bitcoiners with all this information. And then it's like you said, they just get so overwhelmed and then they end up just kind of giving up too quickly. I would say, yeah, you got to meet them where they're at. I think I try to orange pill my family all the time and friends, and I don't even mention custody the first time I'm talking about
Yeah.
Bitcoin. I just kind of help them understand what it is and why it matters and how it differs from cryptocurrencies. That's usually where I start because they're
Hmm.
like, well, what makes Bitcoin better than ETH or XRP or Solana or Dogecoin? And so that's usually where I start. And then once they understand, okay, Bitcoin doesn't have like a tech marketing team. They don't have like a corporate office CEO XYZ.
Hmm.
And that it's scarce, it's capped at 21 million. That's when it usually starts to click. Okay, Bitcoin is this superior cryptocurrency. I would say that's usually my step one. Step
Yeah.
two is okay, so how do you actually own Bitcoin? Because buying it on Coinbase or wherever you buy it doesn't mean that you actually own it. And that's a tricky part sometimes for people to understand because you don't really own a stock. You don't have to custody a stock. You don't have
Right.
to custody an ETF. So that's like kind of a there's some friction there because it's something novel that people aren't accustomed to unless you're a gold bug and maybe you custody gold. But even then, I think precious metals maxis, I think it's only like what let like 1% or maybe less actually hold the physical metal. And
Yeah.
so this custody concept is very new, and so I usually don't even bring it up when
Uh-huh.
first during the first time I'm trying to educate someone on Bitcoin. But after a few times, after a few conversations, and they start to get it. And yeah, I think it's a slow process, and like I'm not gonna ever hand my grandma a cold card. Like that's just not gonna happen.
Get her
Um,
wrecked.
yeah, and so I think as Bitcoiners we should be more open to starting slow, and it's frustrating because you just want your loved ones to understand and have that generational wealth so badly, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, not everybody is going to grasp that concept right away and as quickly as some people will. And so
Yeah.
that's why I used to be not a fan of Bitkey, but as of late, I have started to kind of see what they're doing, and I've actually grown to like it a little bit. And I see it as like a really, really secure hot wallet. I don't see it as like my primary
Right.
cold wallet.
And making it accessible, and it's
Right.
better than what a lot of people are doing otherwise.
Yes. And I would much rather my grandma hold a Bitkey than hold her Bitcoin on Coinbase. And
Right.
so, yeah, I've grown to love it.
Yeah. Or, and I mean, love them to death, but whether it's my parents, my grandparents have passed, but other boomers that I know and that I'll do like tech support for. And some people like they want to try or do like say a fairly fiercely independent older person, and they might want to do it,
Yeah.
and then they also can't distinguish spam from an actual contact from their credit card company.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, you do not want to take self custody. So anyway,
Yeah.
um, I used to make the mistake of being excited about Bitcoin. Somebody would innocently ask, and they're at like step one, and I start going into too much, and they're like, "Oh, geez, like I'm gonna need help," and it's kind of like, "Oh, sorry," just like first little step.
Yeah.
I'll often like I could direct them to like Strike or the Bitcoin Well or just somewhere to just start,
Yeah.
and then let it percolate. Give it time. Let them feel that, and
Yes.
then check on it later.
Yes. And that's another thing too. That's such a big step for people that we as Bitcoiners may not realize is like going from an exchange, a traditional exchange to a Bitcoin only platform or exchange. That's a big step for a lot of people. Going from Robinhood, Coinbase to Bitcoin only like Bitcoin Well or Strike or
Mhm.
River, one of those platforms. That's something that I didn't realize was kind of a stepping stone for the non-Bitcoiners or the soon to be Bitcoiners.
Yeah, and you so as you work on that, how is your mom's a little more into it and learning.
Yes.
Your dad, has he changed at all, or is he still taking time?
He's still taking time. It's tough. It's like the my friend and I were just talking about this. It's like my mom gets it fully orange pilled. She reads all the books. She just finished Natalie Brunell's new book.
Oh,
Loved
nice.
it. She's been reading Saifedean's books, watching all the YouTube videos. And my dad, who's like this like tech bro, like software engineer at a big tech company, like I feel like it takes the more technical people like a lot more time to actually
Hmm.
get orange pilled and
I have
swallow
found
it.
that exact thing.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, he's still like he sees it as a speculative asset. I don't think he sees it the way that I see it or the way my mom sees it as like a savior.
Right.
He sees it as number go up and he's like, "Oh, should I sell? Like it's been dropping." I'm like, "No. Like whatever you do, do not sell.
Right.
Ignore the price, you know?" And so yeah, it's tougher with the super technical people sometimes. I haven't
Yeah.
fully understood how to orange pill them yet.
Yeah. I have run into the same thing. Well, so in a past life, I worked in the software industry and, did software engineering and coding and corporate world. And I have peers. I left that and moved on to other things. And I have peers that still do that. And they are, I could say, smarter than I am, better at software than I am, academically superior than I was. And I'll talk to them about it. And it's not that they're dumb at all. It's just that they are very trained and oriented in these
Yes.
specific fields. So they know this field. And it's kind of like, well, we can talk about your college experience, but someone who studies and studies an academic field, and there's like territories of knowledge that you fight into and then that you defend. And so there are sort of like these academic citadels, if you will, of
Yeah.
knowledge. So when you're in that club or you work in that space, anything that hasn't like done all the things that you did or that you're familiar with, if it just kind of shows up asymmetrically, it's like no, just
Yeah.
dismissed, or it doesn't fit. Like with economics, no, Keynesian's the model,
Yeah.
or or with finance, no, fiat's the model.
Yeah,
So, and then in college, you go to college, and we can talk about that. But like I had these experiences in college where I would do internships at a company, hustling in all these kind of new cutting edge areas. And then I'd go back to school and be hearing about, like, okay, sometimes it was theory, but other times we're going to code these things, but this way. And I'd just be going, oh my goodness, like I'm learning stuff, life and discipline and time management and relationships and,
sure.
functioning in a system. But what I am learning here is, like, I just know this isn't translating.
Yeah.
So you had that experience as well, a
I
little
did
bit.
have that experience. Yeah. And I think, Jack Mallers captures this really well. He always says, like, becoming a Bitcoiner is you have to swallow your pride. You really do. And I think that was a big part of it for me in my journey is like, I just spent nearly 5 years paying six figures for a bachelor's and master's just to realize like none of this is actually meaningful. None of this is really true. I mean, I took maybe one or two good economics courses with professors that I really respect and look up to.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like it was inflation is healthy. The Fed is good. They're here to help. They're here to save the economy.
They're watching.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's like it's tough. And I think we see that in a lot of industries. Even I'm seeing it with, my dad and like his peers. A lot of them are really stubborn, not wanting to adopt AI or any tools that help them code better and more efficiently. And it's like
Mm.
that's just part of a lot of industries is being able to adapt to change and innovation and new information. I think that's a really critical component to success in almost every area. And I think for me, becoming a Bitcoiner, like it was not super easy at first. And at first, I think I didn't want to believe it because I was like, no, like there's no way that this one book just completely changed my life and changed everything I learned in the last 5 years, 4.5 years at the time.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so, yeah, it's interesting. Um,
Yeah.
we see that across industries, not even just in Bitcoin and economics.
Yeah, it's like having that flexibility of mind, and people that are very tenured in their positions can lose that kind of maybe open-mindedness or flexibility, or they're busy. They're just busy, and this is something new, and they'd have to study it. And um,
Yeah.
but yeah, piercing through that, I think, and they don't need it. Like some people, they just, an
Yeah.
older generation, they may have their bit of a nest egg. They don't want what they perceive to be volatility, and they don't have a need for it. Like, no, they're fine. So, Bitcoin, often people who really need it will seek it out and find it
Yeah.
better. And that works as a tool that way.
I agree
Um,
completely. Yeah.
Now, so on the thought of the Federal Reserve, and very recently, and I'll throw this up to stage here. Where did I have it? Oh, that's another one. You recently posted about, yeah. So there's a proposed
We have a
nominee for
nominee.
Fed Chair, Kevin Warsh. Now, I'm not familiar with him. You put up a good post here, summarizing kind of perceptions about that and what it could be. Here's what I see: is that it's kind of same old song and dance,
Yeah.
insider bank bailout stuff. The money printer's gonna heat up,
Yeah.
and I don't see much really changing, other than, like, how do they prevent printing more money, really, and then the
Sure.
Cantillon effect and all the downward effects. So yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think, I had to educate myself on Kevin Warsh and his background. I think I've been seeing this video go around X from some years ago talking about Bitcoin. And I think it's good that we have a more uh, crypto friendly, as the post said, Fed chair, hopefully, if,
Hmm.
everything goes through. But I think at the end of the day, like nothing stops this train. I think
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who's in that seat. The math is math. You
yeah.
can't change the numbers. And I think I would rather have a Fed chair who understands Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, I don't think that changes the economic situation that we're in.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think I wrote that post because I've been really loving James Lavish's Cantillon effect posts recently, because it, like, if I would have learned that in college, I would have like changed everything for me. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, the way I see it is like, oh, we have this billionaire who just potentially might get elected. And it's like, yeah, this is literally the Cantillon effect in real time. We're watching this play out. This isn't, a conspiracy theory. Like, Richard Cantillon called it out, and this is exactly how the world works. And this is why you and I, the normies, we keep seeing inflation. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how it plays out. We'll see.
Well, they're really cornered. I mean, I think they're just, the math don't add up. They are stuck. They have to maintain liquidity while, like, they have to pick sort of like a crushed economy or inflation, and and meanwhile they still want to do all the stuff they can't afford. They have to print the money. And
they have to.
Now Powell has been like really fighting it for various reasons perhaps, but he's been like in the way of them cranking that even harder. So I imagine that they're going to have to lower interest rates, or under Trump or this new guy, they just will.
Yeah.
They're going to print the money and they're going to spend that money. And meanwhile, just the sheer interest that we owe on the debt is more than maybe everything else.
Yeah, so it's more than our defense budget and more than our innovation budget.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, when like tax season's coming up and we're going to pay taxes, and it's like, what am I paying taxes for? Like, most of that, however you want to do the math, but like, I'm going to pay, and I've been paying taxes, and it's like, that goes to pay off the interest on our debt. And yeah, a lot of people, I think what it does is people are kind of waking up to even if they don't like need Bitcoin, they feel inflation. They're going to feel more inflation, and they're going to see where maybe the money goes and how it flows, and start to say, hold up, like, this is messed up. So
yeah. And I think too, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Lynn Alden's book is on that thread, and the Big Print and others. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Love Broken Money and love Lynn. No, I was just gonna say, I think we're seeing this too, and a lot of the normies are asking me like, "Hey, like, did you see the price of silver? Did you see the price of gold?" It's like, yeah, great for the people holding those things, but this isn't a good thing. This is the tsunami warning that a lot of people don't want to pay attention to, and I think we saw this in 1923 in Weimar, Germany, and like, they saw hyperinflation. I think that's right around the corner for us. I mean, we already have, I would say, severe inflation. I don't think any of the numbers are actually accurate. And I think, I think Bitcoin matters now more than ever. And I'm trying to warn everybody, trying to orange pill as many people as I can, because I think we're about to see some crazy prices. I mean, just even what it will cost to get, our sovereignty back and reshore. I think Trump has made that clear that that's part of his plan. It's not going to be cheap. And so, I mean, we're headed for quite the whirlwind here. And so if you don't buy Bitcoin yet, please buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, they sure rattled the cage in Davos, and it's kind of a new frontier on the political spectrum, and we'll see how that trickles down. But it's a bit of chaos. It's a lot of change stuff. If you want to get stuff done politically, man, you need the money. So then, I think it was a week ago or so, Lawrence Lepard mentioned on What Bitcoin Did, kind of things falling apart and collapsing, and sort of what like a great reset could look like. And that brings me to another post you made that I loved. Well, it's referencing here Luke Groman's a report from Luke Groman. So just to think through this here, where basically Lawrence Lepard referred to this, where basically you see more and more nations and groups getting into gold, and Poland buying a whole bunch. Tether, actually, instead of buying Bitcoin, bought gold. Now, you could say that's just strategic, but, okay, interesting. And then so basically, if people are shifting out of certainly the US dollar or into gold, and the dollar weakens, manufacturing can get rebuilt, industry restored with a weaker dollar. And then Lawrence Lepard referred to this, where the U.S. could reprice, revalue the dollar or gold, but give dollar a boost in the sense that the U.S. is sitting on, you know, presumably 8,000 tons of gold. And if that is repriced to be like 5 figures, then suddenly we have like a bunch of just random new money and it's kind of a new reset. Now, so what we would see perhaps is that the metals, gold and silver, go up and maybe crazy up first, but then behind that, as they need that liquidity or to do stuff and they start printing the money behind that, with the Cantillon effect and otherwise, Bitcoin follows these as well, and it trickles into Bitcoin hard. At that point, it could be that big, hard fiat growth in Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a lot of what some Bitcoiners are missing. And it's like, oh, I thought Bitcoin followed gold. And no, like actually there is no correlation. I think that gold and silver and precious metals are just the warning signal. It's the flag that something's happening. I don't think that they closely follow each other, but I do think that Bitcoin is about to go parabolic in the next few years. I mean, and in that post, you know, I said presumably 8,000 tons. I don't know if that's true. It's probably less than that. Considering we never got the audit and probably never will.
that audit they were talking about just kind of went away. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I wonder sometimes, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I guess we don't know how much, but does it at the same time, like, does it matter? Because if it like, I don't know. I mean,
they
might not even matter.
What they don't have and just have the weight of, instead of any proof of work or proof of treasury, they have proof of war.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I do think Bitcoin is about to really, really skyrocket. Maybe not in the short term, but I think long term, it will outperform all of the metals.
Yeah. Eventually, it's just going to work. I mean, at some point, whether it's nation states or individuals, people like to confirm that final settlement and not like, okay, you may be relying on some semblance of a third party, but not too many or the right ones. Maybe just, you know, trying to track like what China's got a whole gold spread out, you know, transaction system set up with, again, gold reserves here and there distributed, and yet having to track that on paper. So
yeah. And Bitcoin another thing wins. Too. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just see Bitcoin wins in terms of just sheer functionality in a system and knowing for sure that, okay, no, we still trust each other enough to track paper. With Bitcoin, you can be final settlement done. So
right. Yeah, and that's the thing I love about Bitcoin and, you know, the gold bugs out here. Like, I'd be curious to see how many gold bugs actually have the gold in their safe. You know, I think it's so unrealistic. We're in the digital age, and maybe I'm biased because I'm Gen Z and grew up with like digital native infrastructure for everything. And so, but like, I just can't imagine, like, how am I going to pay for my dinner time? I'm going to pull out my gold bar? No, of course not.
Right.
And shave a little piece off for my hamburger? No. And so I think that's where Bitcoin comes in, and Peter Schiff can say all he wants about gold, but it's antiquated.
I know. As a concept, I get it, but you know, Schiff owns Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's what works, and it is, you know, Bitcoin wins in terms of every single individual that needs to function. Thinking of the future, an unknown future, what have you, and young people growing up in a changing world, and we spoke to this a bit, where, you know, having a flexibility of mind, a changing world, there are sort of tranches of the way things are done. And yet, whether it's changes in jobs, changing in what robots or AI are doing, I feel like, and you've mentioned this before, but it may be that being more of a creative producer type of having a flexible mindset in a creative realm is going to be more and more valuable than just sort of going to school to learn specific skills so that you get a job that applies those specific skills. And for an economy that is changing very, very very largely, or who knows what directions things could go. Do you think for young people, well, quick aside, so my oldest son is just a little younger than you, and he's going to be graduating from college this spring,
Okay.
is considering a master's. Now he's really smart. He's smaller than I am, but he's apprehensive about the job market because
Yeah.
he's learned a lot of good based things in engineering about circuitry and programming and software and
Oh,
hardware.
awesome.
So he can apply good skills, but then you enter a job market where committing to a corporation or the right corporation, or you get to a company or a business of some kind, and you're going to like relearn actually what we actually do,
Yeah.
or what that looks like. A lot of grads you graduated with, some of them have struggled to find jobs.
Yeah.
What kind of skills, if I'm on the right track, do you think are going to be valuable for kids like my son?
Yeah.
He's a man now, but yeah, kids like that.
Yeah. I think, if I could, I'll just say, if I could go back in time and decide if I wanted to get a master's or not, I probably would have not gone through that program. I think it was super helpful for finding a job. Pretty much, I actually found my 9 to 5, my like more corporate marketing job while I was still in school. It was super easy to get recruited and just like find a job that way through the university. And so, if you want to work, a promising job and maybe a lucrative career in the corporate world and be someone who's compliant, then I think definitely get a master's. It can definitely help with that pursuit. Mm-hmm. I would say that's great for the short term, and in the immediate time, in the next 2 to 3 years, I think that's going to work out just fine for you. I think looking forward to the next 10 years, it's going to look very different. And I think that AI is just growing so quickly, I think more quickly than people realize. And none of that is going to matter anymore. And what is going to matter is having agency, being malleable, being able to adapt all of these new skills. Like, who would have thought, 4 years ago, that prompt engineering is like an actual role that people get money for and like get paid pretty well? Who would have thought that vibe coding was a thing? And so I think being able to learn these new skills and just being very, very adaptable is going to be critical for this next decade. That being said, I think that master's programs and college in general, they train you, like you said, for a very specific skill to then go into that job and work a job that only does that specific thing, whether it's engineering or for me, it was marketing. And I think, I feel very prepared to go work in, if I had to go back tomorrow to working in the corporate cubicle world and just do my regular marketing job, I think I would do very well and I would be just fine. But I wouldn't have any agency. I would not be allowed to think outside of the box or think differently or really propose anything new. I think these big corporations have SOPs that are concrete and no one can really touch them. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the beauty of working in the Bitcoin space and kind of being more I'm an independent contractor. So I technically I'm not employed by anybody. And so I think that's really nice because I get to learn all these new skills and have that agency that I know is going to be like an integral part of this next shift that we're seeing in the workspace, but also in everything, across every industry, across anything you do in education, in teaching, in engineering, in computer science, and whatever it is. I think that will be probably the most important skill is being able to adapt and grow with the AI.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, and companies are going to want to look for different skills or characteristics in an employee where, like, granted, they want someone reliable who's capable and can track with change and what they're doing and be a good employee. There's all those traits. But when I was interning and hadn't yet graduated, the company I was going to look to work for was like, you have to graduate. If you don't graduate, like, granted, you've worked here for off and on for years now.
Yeah.
but if you don't graduate, we can't hire you. And I was like, okay, like I got to graduate. And so senior year became this surreal, like I just got to do all the things. I got a job, but if I don't graduate, there's no job. and then, um, and then you get the job. And for me, at least, it was like, I'm not really applying a whole lot. I
Yeah.
mean, I learned a lot of things, but I'm not, I'm coding in their world. I'm doing their
Yeah.
stuff. They invented their own stuff that is wholly different than what I like learn.
Yeah.
And and I already fit anyway, so it kind of was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, the skills and what you're looking for are different. There are jobs posted or were posted more to be like, must have this degree, or even must have a master's.
Yeah.
And it may be that more and more companies are going to be looking for like, well, what have you done? Show us what you
Yeah.
do.
Show us the proof
Like
of
show
work.
us right now. How would you do this thing? And you got to just kind of like know how to do stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think that's definitely how it's going to be in this. I'm seeing it even like when I got the jobs I have now, it's like, oh, well, how would you accomplish X, Y, and Z? What projects have you done that align with what we're looking for? And it's like, okay, so now I think kind of the indicator, like my master's is irrelevant. My current boss like didn't even realize I had a master's. And so that goes to show how important that was. But I think, one of the questions he asked was like, oh, like, have you worked on any projects? And so I think in this next shift, like being able to show what you're passionate about through projects that you do after your 9 to 5 will be crucial. And I think that, after graduating from my bachelor's, I felt very prepared to go work in finance, banking, whatever, anything in that industry. But after I finished my master's and I was ready to go work in marketing, it's like, they're just, like you said, they're going to teach you their way of doing things. They're not really going to, it's not going to translate always from what you learned in the textbooks to the job you take. And I think maybe the exception is like engineering, like civil engineering and that kind of thing. But for the other jobs, like, yeah, it's going to be really important that you are able to learn and adapt.
Yeah, there are realms where you want the people designing and building the bridges to have completed specific engineering tests and knowledge.
Yeah.
So thinking of the the demographics part and Gen Z, I've got a graph here. This is from the Nakamoto project, where it's kind of a distribution by female and male, and we'll talk about this as well, kind of male dominated, but age from older to younger down here. Gen Z being this bottom bar, a little bit of this next one, but it's it's kind of a younger person's Bitcoin ownership by age. And so what you communicate well to and represent are this younger group, which is a bit smaller than these slightly early middle adult phases here, but they're up and coming. And so on one hand, I see a lot of good adoption. It kind of fades with age, as we might kind of expect. But when I think of Gen Z and even millennials, you kind of often presume that younger people, they've got a lot of, I would presume, if you're functioning well, you've got a lot of open-ended kind of optimism and hope and go out there and do stuff and positive energy. You're also kind of thinking progressively. That I would think, could translate to like progressive politics. But what I'm seeing a bit more and more, maybe surprisingly, I don't know, but that some of the younger generations, because they have access to a lot of information, because they're not relying on hierarchical structures of knowledge and things, they're kind of just going out and seeking it and looking at what they can find. Many of them are gravitating for stuff that makes sense, is based, can see systems as they present themselves, not filtered for them, but more just maybe a little more raw. And so I'm seeing a lot of young people that are actually kind of based in their values. Are you seeing that as well, or is it kind of a mix? College is often a very liberal environment.
Yeah, I would say During my time in university, it was pretty mixed. I did go to private university for 5 years. And so I think naturally with private institutions, there's a lot more right leaning folks, but there are a lot of more liberal, progressive people. I would say what I'm seeing, like, okay, for example, in the city I live in, there's a lot more people that are open to being based in adopting these Bitcoin principles without even realizing it. But the minute you step outside and go to a big city, you don't really see that in the young people. And I'd even argue that I'm seeing a lot of negativity and pessimism from young people because they're feeling all of the brokenness of the economy, but
They
they
felt
can't
left
really
behind.
pinpoint it. Yeah, they feel left behind and they're kind of giving up. I'm seeing honestly a lot of doomerism, even within my friend group, outside of the Bitcoin space. And I'm
Right.
seeing lots of my friends that I graduated with say that they're never going to get married, they're never going to have kids, and they're just like, I've given up. And it's not that they don't want kids; they're just saying this is far too costly. I can't even make ends meet right now. How could I ever, um, introduce life and take care of someone else if I can't even take care of myself?
Uh-huh.
And I think part of that problem is like, yes, the economy is bad, but two, we were also sold this lie that if you went to college and took out a bunch of loans and you got, a bachelor's and for some people a master's, you would be so set. You would be getting six-figure offers left and right. You'd be, flying to New York tomorrow to take this big role and everything would be fine and the education would pay for itself within a couple of years. And I
Uh-huh.
think that's just so far from the truth. We're seeing more and more entry level jobs. I see this on LinkedIn all the time. It says entry level, and it's like, oh, must have 3 to 4 years of experience. And it's like, oh, what do you mean?
Yeah.
How are we supposed to apply for these jobs confidently? You want 3 to 4 years of experience, not including internship experience. That's no longer an entry level job. And so
Hmm.
I think, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of pessimism. Maybe that's just the echo chamber I'm in, but
Yeah.
I think it's tough because a lot of young people are really really feeling this, but they have no idea where it's coming from. Even I would say even the finance students, they don't realize that this is because of the financial system.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, I think that's where we're
And
at
that's
right
where
now.
Bitcoin can really fix a lot. I was pretty, if you're paying attention, it's easy to just see all the madness and or negative things and be like, man, there's no there's no voting harder about that or fixing that. It's broke and I don't know how to unbreak it. Um, and I was kind
Yeah,
of black pilled actually, just kind of like, well, whatever, I just got to do me and take care of my family. But Bitcoin does open that door of like, oh, here's how things can all work again. And
yes,
whether that's just personally or for your family and your community, but the system generally is going to be forced to, I think, start operating by a change in some rules. And there's going to be like a realignment steadily. The incentives will change. And then eventually the whole thing could, by maybe through sheer inability to control it, and they'll be forced to, but they'll have to change.
yeah,
And things could start just getting better and better and better. And it's I'm very optimistic, but it's easy to be doomer when you're young, you felt left behind. The boomers got theirs, or even as Gen X, as you get older, you start getting ornery about being debased, um, or kids these days or whatever, and you get into a negative mindset. And
yeah.
honestly, I think things could just get better and better, but slowly, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree. I do think in the long run, things will get better and better. I think that we are going to see some pain and going to be some people are really going to get squeezed. Um, but I think that comes with any shift, any big major change, and we're unwinding 50 years of fraud essentially. And so I think with that, it's just common knowledge that there's going to be a lot of pain for a lot of people, and especially young people who don't have any assets yet and are struggling to make ends meet and really struggling with affordability. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm with you. I'm optimistic because I have Bitcoin and I understand it, but it's hard to share that same optimism with someone who doesn't fully understand Bitcoin and understand that there is hope.
Yeah.
But
And being a woman, wanting to balance, you care about a career and
yeah,
balancing then family and
yeah,
trying to have both, or can you do both, or do you have to pick one? And it's hard when you need two incomes or whatever. So
Absolutely.
hopefully those
Yeah.
pressures get better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, thankfully I'm only 23 right now. And so I'm not planning on having any kids now, but I think, in say 5, 6 years, hopefully, because I've been diligently stacking in something that doesn't get debased, my life should theoretically get much cheaper. And so hopefully during that time, we can rely on one income and everything will be fine. And I
Yeah.
think that's the message I try to share with a lot of my friends who are just set on being crazy cat ladies for the rest of their lives. It's like, no, no, no. Like, this is not your fault. I can assure you, this is not your fault. Yes, you're not going crazy. Yes, everything is more expensive, but you can fix. There is a fix to this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And as much as we can discuss differences in generations, and we don't have to dive deep on this if you don't want to, because we do have a time cap, but just being female in this space.
Yeah.
I've seen it in tech. You can see it in like video gaming culture world. I'll see it in Bitcoin, where now a guy can post stuff or whatever. You might even just, you post a picture of a sunset and say something positive,
Mm-hmm.
and guys can be called betas or simps or whatever. Sure. Now, women, it can get just sort of, it crosses a line very easily into just sexism. I'll just say
Yeah.
it can be sexist.
Yeah.
I'll see comments. I mean, there's trolls on X. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll get a little troll or something. And it's like, oh, okay. I've seen you handle it very maturely, very positively, very well. Like moving on, you post something nice or even just very smart, and people will make it about being female.
Yeah.
And I will sometimes see that, and I'll be like, oh, some people are kind of wired that way. Like, oh, what are
Yeah.
you, a woman? So anyway,
Yeah.
you feel that, or what do you think of that?
I certainly feel that. I mean, even just this morning, what was it? Someone commented on my Kevin Warsh post. They said, "Oh, hold on, I gotta pull it up because it's kind of funny."
I probably have it here.
Okay, if you go to the Kevin Warsh post, or you can go to my replies, go to my account.
Let me open this one up. Yeah, I think it's down here. Yeah.
So yeah. Look at that comment right there. These
Yeah.
hoes read your book, and we get this. What did he say? The Zogtillion
effect. Oh, what you use the word Cantillon? Oh,
Yeah.
you're real smart.
Yeah, so it's like comments like those, you just either laugh about it or cry about it, and I'm not gonna cry about it. I mean, it's really just, I always think these comments are just trolls being insecure and
Yeah.
I mean, I think thankfully I've been blessed to learn a lot from Natalie Brunell. She's someone I really look up to, and I would consider her a mentor, and she's dealt with so much worse
Oh yeah. Yeah.
than
Sure.
I have in this space. And so I think, I've been super encouraged by her, and the way that she handles it is just, you just completely ignore it. If you give them any attention, then yeah, they'll run with that. And so, I usually don't respond. This one I thought was funny and tagged
Yeah.
Lindsay in it. But
Well, and I don't want to belabor it because I don't want to, put extra on people that are, the whole victim mindset thing is toxic itself. So it's like, even as it exists, just straight and forward, keep moving forward. And a word to set scavenger there, be better. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I wanted to bring that up because I mean, it's not like you don't want to dwell on it. At the same time, I notice it and I'll just be like cringe, like, oh, really? Come on. Like, I am super just excited. One, that youth are entering the space. Two, that women are entering the space.
Yeah.
Not that I need like a kind of equity. I mean, people are going to have their interests based on biological incentives. And yet, kudos to everyone who gets into it. I have a daughter. I have a 4-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And I am raising her to be, she is smart, but I want her to be independent and responsible and maybe a little fiercely independent and adventurous and strong. All the good qualities that I see in you that I'm very proud of. I would be proud of my daughter to grow up and be like you, Halston, because
thank you.
It's admirable. And so when you're out there doing great, doing a lot in all these spaces, and then someone makes a little quip about either being young or some label that your image or whatever, it's like, really? So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, I really appreciate those kind words. Rest well knowing I don't really think much of those comments. I think that's just part of the game, part of being a woman in this space. And it's honestly, it's worse in person at the conferences. That's when it's
oh,
like,
really?
sometimes it does get to me, but I just have to remember, like, this is just part of it. And I'm not going to dim my light because someone makes a sexist comment.
Yeah,
And so I think for me, I'm just honored to help amplify the Bitcoin message to other women and make this hopefully a more inviting space, because I think that's something that a lot of women deal with, is like they don't want to learn anything about, I mean, they see it as crypto, but they're not really interested in crypto or Bitcoin because it's predominantly it's male dominated. And so I think that can be scary, but I would really love for women to buy Bitcoin and not be scared by the crypto bros and the sexist comments. So
totally. Yeah, Natalie Brunell, Lynn Alden, many others, growing numbers. You were on Paula recently, well, a little while ago. Yeah, just good, strong women that discard any FUD and just
yes.
get rid of the imposter syndrome. Be self confident. We're all learning. It's good. You're a good writer. I mean, one thing that launched some attention was an ex manifesto post you made about your college experience. You're a good writer, and you've written about how you have like some core pillars in your life where it's like clean eating,
Yeah.
fitness, and for mental health, emotional health, like journaling, writing,
Yes.
regular like journaling and reading, engaging your brain, and faith. Faith is a
Yes.
component to that. So all of those pillars kind of keep you grounded and directed, and then all the other little distraction stuff, it's like, it doesn't shake my foundation. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Can't say I've gone about it perfectly, but I think that, like you said, leaning onto those pillars I've kind of established in my life definitely helps make this journey much more enjoyable.
awesome. Now, as a writer, you ever consider putting thoughts and things stringing together over time and maybe eventually writing a book?
I actually have thought about this before. I have not, don't to everyone watching. I'm not
Yeah.
writing a book, but I have thought about it. I would love to just tell my story, not just focused on Bitcoin, but tell my story just in general. I've lived quite a crazy life, and I think that there's a lot that can be learned from about the way that my mom I was raised by a single mom, so the way that she kind of taught me to handle things in life. There's a lot to be said about the way that she raised me, and I would love to put that into writing and hopefully
Uh-huh.
help other young girls. And then additionally, talk about Bitcoin and why it's the greatest asset ever.
Yeah, there could be a very empowering message there. Single mom balancing career and raising kids,
Yeah.
and uh, the complexity of fiat life in that
Yeah.
and then of course Bitcoin fixing things, and then your experiences, granted young
Hmm.
female, and traipsing into it, or diving right in head first into it, avoiding the shitcoinery, managing
Yes.
the crypto bros. um, it's there's things that I just sort of take for granted where, like, I fit the demographic easily, and I take for granted sort of like my identity, maybe, I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
so I wanted to feature here in our last chunk of time we have. You can be found on X, certainly. Let's go to you can be found on X at Halston Valencia.
Yes.
Um, your book, you're working for the Bitcoin Well. The Bitcoin Well is a very based non-custodial exchange.
Yes.
Now they operate in both the U.S. and Canada. Founded by
Yes.
Adam O'Brien, 2013. They've been around for a while, buddies.
They have.
You can also find them on. Well, you can go to the Bitcoin Well. Let's go to their website. Yeah, bitcoinwell.com. You can go to their website. So you can go to bitcoinwell.com and you you can find their tools and get connected to Bitcoin that way. Now your book club, you got a community on X here, chapter 21.
Yes.
You've been reading Michael Sullivan's book, The Blood of the Bourgeoisie.
Yes, that was a stellar, phenomenal novel, and I highly recommend it. I don't want to give any spoilers because there are a lot of crazy things that happen in this book, but I highly recommend that everyone read this book, even if it's, the month is almost over, so we'll be choosing a new one here in a couple days, but really fantastic book.
I've heard a lot of good things, and every time I refer to it, I still don't know if I know how to spell bourgeoisie, but I'll be typing it out. I know how to say it, and then I start typing it. I'm like, wait, it's a French thing.
Yeah.
So it's a little but it sounds like a great story and very an orange pilling
yes.
story for people that maybe aren't familiar with Bitcoin itself.
Absolutely.
Now you are on Nostr. You can find Halston on Nostr here. And now, addition to all that, as if you're not busy enough, Bolt.
Yes.
You have dashboards and information. A regular. You can subscribe to the weekly insights. You've got a lot of metrics, and is it weekly? A weekly newsletter?
Yeah, so the weekly newsletter, if you subscribe at the bottom, you'll get a newsletter every Monday morning, goes out at 5:30 Eastern, 5:30 in the morning. And we talk about everything that's happening in macro, geo, Bitcoin, AI, tech. It's usually about a 5 to 6 minute read. It's super short, concise, but very comprehensive approach to everything that's happening in the world. I started this website because I wanted to help orange pill my family members, my friends who studied business economics with me, but didn't quite understand the landscape. And I think that this site has, our goal is for this site to have all the tools and resources that someone would need to understand traditional finance and versus the reality that we're in. And so I think, and that's why I built the Capital Bridge tool as well. If anyone wants to understand what Michael Saylor is doing with his financial products, I also want to be very clear that I will never, ever, ever recommend that you buy a financial instrument instead of real pure Bitcoin in self-custody. That is not at all what I'm promoting. But if you say, my grandparents, they're a little bit older, I recommend that they allocate a small percentage of their portfolio to stretch. And so that's why I built that tool to help people understand what an investment could look like. And so,
awesome. And so you can go to staybolted.com.
Yes.
And then additionally, there is, let's see here. Oh yeah, here we go. The Bitcoin Culture Hub, another way to connect with people there.
Yes.
And you've done some marketing work and promotion for them. And so that's another way for people to connect and share with others, learn things they're hiring, it looks like.
Yeah. So we actually just launched this opportunity engine a couple days ago. It's in beta right now, but this is essentially trying to become the LinkedIn for Bitcoiners. So it's a job board, but it's so much more than that because we're trying to help Bitcoin companies or Bitcoin organizations find real Bitcoiners, not just somebody who has all the acumen and all the things to qualify for the role. We're helping create a space, a third digital space for people to interact the same way you would with LinkedIn when you want to connect with someone in your industry. And then we have in-person, in real life events launching very soon this year. So Definitely stay tuned.
Awesome. And wow, we've got to wrap it up because you got a hard cap. We didn't even get to from your education. I was going to talk about Edward Bernays and all the media, engineering consent, crystallizing public opinion, propaganda. There was so much that we could really get into, but you've got another commitment. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciated the time you had and you've lent to me today. And I'm really excited for where you've come from, where you've landed now and what you're doing and where I'll be seeing you next.
Yeah, thank you so much for following this journey, and thanks for having me. I guess I'll just have to come back and we'll talk about Bernays and all the things, all
Oh,
the crazy things.
there's so much. I could have you on again. We could talk about like marketing and
Yeah,
psychology. So
yeah, definitely would love to. But thanks for
cool.
having me.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.